Okay, we're going live. And so we're going live. We're just building. We finished up Captain America. Finished him up. See if you can get that. There you go. So he's looking good. And then so now we're gonna do the next. Actually, I got a little wee bit of sanding to do. And I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna start doing some videos on I'm kind of getting everything set up. I'm still waiting on a cord for my camera, making a little mount at work so that it'll be coming up here, sort of pointed like directly at the model, and then I can switch back and forth. You'll be able to see the model or me, or maybe I'll do split screen. You can see both, or I'll have one up in the corner and we can switch them. So we're just doing that. I'm in the midst of getting my it's not really a studio. Studio's not the word I would use, just like a painting booth area set up downstairs in my garage. I have an airbrush, so I'll be setting that up, and getting that ready to go. I'll have a mount down there, so I'll be able to film. I won't be able to live stream from down there. I guess I could go for my phone, actually. Depending on my phone. Don't have an iPhone. I have a Samsung, which I like the Android, but I know the camera's not as good. So I know that's a little rough. Not having a good camera. I also need to get an X-Acto knife. I thought I still had one, but I couldn't find it. I'm not too sold on these clippers I bought either. Yeah, I had a different pair before. So here's the whole story. So so I sold out of. I played Warhammer Fantasy. How old am I now? So probably about 10, 12, more than that, 14 years ago. Right, vampire count. I never had a full army. I mean, I had a decent sized army. I never had a full one, but a decent sized army. So, and then, I got whatever. I sold. I don't even know if I sold it or if I just, what I did with it. I have no idea. A couple of my friends played a little longer than I did. I kind of got into Magic cards after that. I just, the hobby, I wasn't very good at painting, and at that point in my life I didn't have the greatest patience to get better, so it tailed off, whatever. And then so we'll fast forward 10 years. No, it would have been 9 years, because it would have been about almost, maybe close to 5 years ago. When did Age of Sigmar come out, actually? Let me find that out. When did Age of Sigmar come out? 2015. So yeah, 5 years. Whoa, that's crazy, because I played... It's actually really weird, because... So I had a daughter, have two daughters. I had a daughter, she'd be 5, so I had a daughter 5 years ago, basically. And at the time, I was playing video games. That was kind of it. I think just playing video games like Destiny 2. Man, time is crazy. So anyway, I was sitting in my car with my buddy on the way to work, and we were talking about things to do, or somehow it came up, and we were talking, and we started talking about when we used to play Warhammer and how fun it was. So we, I was like, okay, like let's check it out. Let's see what's going on here. And what I ended up doing was I started playing the Total War Warhammer, the RTS, and that kind of got me back feeling the Warhammer vibes. And then we just started talking about funny games we used to have and stuff like that. And then I started thinking about things that I want to be able to show my kids, about things to do that don't just revolve around watching TV. Watching TV or playing video games. So yeah. So then we looked into Warhammer. We looked into Warhammer Fantasy, and it turns out they were ending it, and it was Age of Sigmar was taking over. So we started looking into that, and that looked awesome. So we started playing that. We split the starter set, me and my one buddy. And I got pretty into painting, into modeling, the modeling aspect, making terrain. I actually had a lot of stuff, which is kind of sad in hindsight, although not a lot of it. I mean, I guess you could use the forest. So we played that for a while, and we played that. We built. We had a couple armies. Then Warhammer 8th edition came out, and we each got an army in that. And we were going okay, and it was all right. And then Star Wars Legion came out. We played Star Wars Legion, and then. And the people, I assume it's gonna happen in Marvel Crisis Protocol, but the people that play Warhammer, it's just like people who play Magic. Most people, not all, most, is that it's so hard for people to play a game just for fun. And you don't find that in the X-Wing community, because in between all this I started playing X-Wing, and X-Wing is an excellent game. Awesome, it's so fun. And so we were playing, we played Warhammer a bit, and mostly it was just me and my buddy that would play and have a good time. There wasn't a lot of other people that would play, and that would, they'd come down to the end of the game and it would be close, and you'd be like, okay, look, I got more units than you, you win, whatever. But they'd be like, no, we got to count points. We got to end that, And so it came down to the fact that a lot of the people that you end up playing with in Warhammer 40k, at least at the one local store, were kind of rough to play with. And so just through happenstance, so you just got out of it, started coming out of frame, sold out of it. just yeah, sold out of it. Got rid of my all my terrain, got rid of all my hobby stuff, got rid of everything. It was about 2 years ago when we sold out of the armies, and about a year ago when I sold out of all my hobby stuff. I kept my airbrush, thankfully. And then I was playing Magic and video games and a little bit of X-Wing. And what ended up happening was the one guy at the one store that had a big X-Wing community just you've had a falling out with the store. So he had a falling out with the store. So the store's game night kind of slowed down a little bit. And from the down and the fist. So the store kind of slowed down a little bit. And then so the X-Wing kind of fell off, and the store, you know, was kind of far away for me to get to, so, you know, we just call it what it is. Kept all my X-Wing figs, but kind of got rid of everything else. And then, you know, through the pandemic and listening to podcasts and stuff, I heard about Marvel Crisis Protocol. And looked into it. You know, it's made by the guys who made War Machine. And War Machine always looked interesting to me. But, you know, like I was already playing so many things, and, you know, adding more things to paint seemed like a crazy task to me at the time. And, you know, the big dog on the block is Games Workshop. And if you're playing that, I mean, you know, you don't necessarily need to play anything else. You can always do it for fun, but, you know, got off a little bit. So ended up selling out of that stuff, and, you know, never got into anything else. Then fast forward, and I'm listening to a Fly Better podcast, and Farmer starts talking about, or he mentions in passing, in just a brief statement about Marvel Crisis Protocol, how it's a game of positioning, just like X-Wing. And when I first heard it, I kind of thought, you know, is he talking about like a computer game or like a phone game? That's kind of what I thought, is a phone game. And so, you know, so I kind of it's stuck in the back of my head, you know, just there. And so then another episode maybe mentions it, and I'm like, and I ended up having to go back and try to find out the name of what he's talking about. I look it up, you know, and it's produced, or published, I guess. Published is the right word, by Asmodee. And Asmodee makes Asmodee publishes X-Wing. I like X-Wing, so I think X-Wing's the one of the best miniatures games out there. Oh, this one's a little tiny hook. Wee nubbin. What is he supposed to look like at the end? Oh, go. Ah. Boop, boop. The headphones are gonna die. So it's published by Asmodee and made by, just get my my hair going. Published by Asmodee and made by the guys who made who were at Privateer Press or started Privateer Press, or one of the key players involved in that. So I'm thinking, okay, the few things I know about War Machine and Hordes is that there was a good tournament scene. A good tournament scene. Let's go. It looks like it. Okay. I'd buy that. Some of these models, man. So it's made by the guys who made War Machine Hordes. And I'm thinking, okay, that's cool. So I start watching it. The game looks pretty good. The models look pretty good. And as I was watching, I was kind of worried, okay, if you can only be, it's Marvel, right? So how do they conquer the fact that, how do they conquer, good versus evil? And I'm watching some games, and then I'm researching. There's Crabawk, who does like a how to play, and he's pretty good for a rough idea of how to play. A couple other channels, Gorilla Miniatures, a couple other channels do some good how to plays. Then I look at some Sarastro videos, how to paint. Now some of the models look more fine detail to paint, but they're comic book models, so you kind of have pretty good freedom with how you paint them. I mean, you have unlimited freedom with how you paint them, really, but you just you want to have some cohesion or similarities, something that people will know, so they don't just look and say that's kind of you painted a pink Red Skull there. Why is that? Not to say you can't. I'm just simply saying, you want it to look like it should look. And then I'm looking at the models. They look pretty clean. The company is backed by Asmodee, so you don't have to worry about the company maybe losing the license or not being able to fill their obligations. And then, so you take the plunge. If that's your, I'm thinking, I kind of want to get back into something just like X-Wing, but that you don't have to paint 30 models before you can play, and you don't have to have all 3 different books, and you don't have to have this and that, and it's not a huge army base. I'm not into army based games, is what this came down to. Is I found that out. They look awesome. It's just not something that I have the time to do with all the other things that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this YouTube channel going, different things like that. I'm kind of, am I gaming? Am I this? Am I that? What is it about? Learning on editing videos, learning on making thumbnails, how to do this, how to do that, managing all these things, day job, wife, kids, family, doing stuff with them. So after you look at the whole package, you look at some of the models, you don't need every model. You look at how they release things, you look at the company's based in Seattle. So if they have championships, stuff like that, big tournaments hosted by the creators of the game, they'll be in Seattle, not in Minnesota, not in England. so it's time. You know, I get the core set. I got a couple other box sets. You know, my daughter all of a sudden just loves Spider-Man, Peter Parker. You know, shout out Farmer. So I got all the Spider-Mans, Peter Parker, the Miles Morales, the Spider-Gwen. So add that all up together, and this is the game that I think is getting me back into miniatures. You know, I've got paints. I'm getting a new airbrush gun is coming in the mail with the 3 different sizes of needles. I'm gonna get that set up downstairs in my garage. I got some paintbrushes, and I'm kind of getting ideas for my YouTube channel together. You know, this is probably going to be the first video. If I can edit it down and condense it, you know, so it's kind of understanding of how I went from Warhammer 40K, Games Workshop, to Marvel Crisis Protocol skirmish game. And you know, for me, another thing, just a quick aside, another thing that was really helpful is that my wife said she'd be down to paint a model. And you know, originally when I started playing Warhammer, she said she'd be down to try to paint one too. But she, you know, the models are rough. Not rough. They are hardcore looking, heavy metal. So, you know, for the average person to look at that and say, hey, how come there's 10,000 skulls here? Like, well, you know, the skulls. They say, what are you talking about? You say, well, it's Games Workshop. There's skulls in the 40th century. Everything's made of skulls. So, you know, combine all those things together, and I think this is the game that I'm gonna give it a go. Dive into the fact that games 6 turns, which most games are 6 rounds, and that it's a game more about movement and objective capture rather than turning in, maybe starting out that way and turning into a death match, which most Warhammer games tend to turn into. Is, you know, it starts, you know, unless you're in a big tournament and you're playing, you know, very strategically, most games turn into, I'm gonna kill you, you're gonna kill me, and we'll fight over an objective in the middle. I wonder why this is, what's the quality of this? Not like that. It should be, yeah, the quality it should be money, because I'm capturing. Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, a little better. Okay, that's weird. So that's, you know, bringing that all together. That is the goal. And is this Tesseract the same? Yeah. 2 Tesseracts. 2 Tesseracts. Why'd they put it on the Tesseract? Okay. So that's why I think Marvel Crisis Protocol is a game that is worth trying, worth checking out, at least for the cool models. And especially if you have a significant other who's on the fence, but you're not quite sure if the skulls are going to bring him in, check MCP out. That was a quick catch up on how I got to where I am. And you know, I'm going to be doing videos soon on, you know, I think not everybody, obviously, not everybody knows. I think a lot of people know the brushes to get are the Klinsky Sable brushes. I think what happens with a lot of people, I know I do it, is that you You know, I mean, actually, I should look it up actually how much they are. Because for the most people, Polinsky sable brushes are probably not going to make a difference. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in like most people. Are you holding this? Party's holding out. It's such a rough spot. Put the clip. I guess they didn't have a better spot to put it, but dang. It's probably the one that doesn't have a hand. Oh, that does have a hand. Probably the one that doesn't have a hand. That's the one that gets the Tesseract. Oh no, my friend, no. How did this happen? No. You're melted. You're gonna be double melted together. Oh no, man. Oh. Junkie, that's the first time that's happened for me. Man, okay, so we gotta re-glue this bad boy. Oof. And so there's, if you're new to MCP, joining the channel, checking it out, wondering what's this all about. So it's a tabletop game, and a cool thing about right now with tabletop games is most companies have given Tabletop Simulator the okay to use their game. Now, I mean, most places can't really say no. People are going to do it if they want to do it anyways. But now companies have given the okay right now while people can't get together. So you can definitely check it out if you're thinking, I wonder if this game's for me. And now Tabletop Simulator doesn't give the full experience, mostly because sometimes it's not very user friendly. And so, in real life, using the movement tools is not going to be that hard. Using the measuring tools, all that kind of stuff is not going to be nearly as hard as it is on Tabletop Simulator. Not that it's hard on Tabletop Simulator, but it's not that user friendly. If you there's just different buttons do different things, and it's a little bit a little rough. So that's that, baby. Yeah, there's Tabletop Simulator. If you are wondering, is this game for me? What's it going to be like? Let me try this out. That's a good way to do that. And there's a Discord, which I'll add to the channel after. Actually, I could probably do that right now. So there's a Discord for Tabletop Simulator Marvel Crisis Protocol TTS. Here. There you go. So I added it to the description of the channel down below, or description of the video down below. Close that. There we go. Okay. Is that going on? Where the feed could go on. This guy, they're not going to cause a problem. 9. Put them on like my kids put their boots on. Backwards if you don't have kids. You'll know that a lot of them put their boots on backwards. Like, haha. My shoes are on backwards. Isn't that funny? This is the way I want to wear them. Luckily that stops as their feet get bigger because it gets more uncomfortable as their feet get bigger to put their shoes on the wrong way. Which is good. That goes in there. Goes in there. Is that the right way? Yes. Whew! Had to check my feet for a minute. You know, hold those up, see if they're on the right way. And you know, another thing I always keep in mind when I'm making models is that basically nobody's gonna see this part of the model, and that is the bottom part. It's not gonna focus. I think I turned off the focus. There we go. So nobody's gonna see this part. People are looking at this part of the model, so you don't have to worry too much about the underside of models. You know, it's like I like to call it the window of 70 degrees. You know, it's people aren't gonna see under here, right? They're gonna be looking here, here. Even if you get down low and you're looking this way, your eyes still can't see like this. So you have about this to ignore on models if you're worried about detail or crunch for time or anything like that. You just ditch it. So do that. Don't worry about those things. Let me see. Content. Oh, still hooked up there. There you go. Still hooked up. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for this glue to dry. Oh, his head. Get his head going. One of the things I like about miniatures games over... Oh no! Oh, there's my dog. You hear my dog clickety clacking? One of the things I like about miniature games over Magic and other card games, and it applies to X-Wing too. What I like about X-Wing a lot is that there's a lot of room for variety and for doing your own thing. What I mean for that is that in X-Wing, there will be efficient lists. Right, there will be lists that roll the most amount of red dice, and the most amount of green dice, all at once. Right, more than any other list, and they have a great maneuver dials, and they have great upgrades, and the cards need to get price increased, and that'll happen. But what doesn't usually happen in those games, the meta doesn't usually get solved. My dog moves around back there. Looking for a snack. Sorry, buds. And you know, like MCP will be that way, especially with the way the crises can change. Any game that adds dice is always ripe for upset. And it's hard to say because, you know, most games probably end up getting a solved meta. But it seems like in Magic, unless you're playing Commander, there isn't a lot of if you're the average person, a lot of the creativity window is small if you're the average person. If you're an excellent player that is dedicating hours a day, winning tournaments, going to events, I mean, the window of creativity is probably a little wider because you have a better understanding of how things work and what's going on, stuff like that. Another thing that is a great barrier to being extremely competitive in Magic the Gathering is Moolah! And that's because it's collectible, which is a plus to the game while you're playing, and a minus to the game while you're trying to enter. Now, I mean, with MCP, the only minus to the game so far for entry is that some of the better expansion packs or model packs might be harder to find as they get older. But because they're not collectible, they don't have to worry about reprinting them that will affect the back end user. Which in Magic is a great concern, is that if they reprint a card that is worth too much money, you're risking alienating or screwing over those fans. If you print a card, and you can reprint cards that are worth nothing, it doesn't matter, but if they're worth nothing, generally they're not that good, or they've been reprinted a bunch, or there's no use for them. So they're always walking a fine line about that. So that's another good thing I like about miniatures games. You don't have to worry too much about that, about the collectivity aspect of it. You don't have to worry really, am I gonna, if I start playing this deck, is the best card in it gonna cost me $400 and then maybe get banned because it's too good, which happens a lot in Magic, unfortunately. Holding this that looks about right. I'm really excited to paint this Tesseract, try to get some glow effects going on them. Ooh, man, that light sourced glow. I know there's a proper word for it that I didn't use right there, but okay. I'm gonna let that hand dry a little bit. I think I'm gonna put this arm on. So this arm goes, whoa, goes behind him. You guys hear my dog chowing down back there? What's going on here? Oh. What is happening? Okay, this one. that should be right. Oh, there we go. I'm like, what? That was crazy. That was a heart attack right there. You guys just looking at my gray head the whole time. It's pretty exciting, huh? It makes for good viewership numbers. I'm sure the numbers are gonna skyrocket. Checking out the top of my my gray head. You know, but you know, we're just chilling, talking, seeing how things are going. everybody's life's going, how everything's working. There we go. Boom! Fits in like a glove. Just right in there. The wet sausage, baby. Guess the sausage is dry, but where it's going into is wet. Yeah. So, you know, if you're watching this a little bit later after it's live, it'll stay on the channel. And if there is a subject or something you'd like to know about MCP, the hobby, I'm definitely going to be doing a bases video soon. I don't know if scenery is going to be worth it right now, and because of the scale, I think you can just end up kind of buying almost kids toys for cars and stuff. I haven't seen on any table too much sci-fi, which I kind of want to get into, particularly because I think the one thing that MCP brings, let me hold on, so I'm just going to repeat, sorry. So the one thing that I haven't seen so far yet in too many of the bat reps, which are on YouTube, is sci-fi worlds. I know there's Blackfire Games, Blackfire Studios. They use a lot of 40K scenery because there's a lot of crazy far future rubble, which I don't necessarily. I guess technically with the opening scene in Guardians of the Galaxies, there was a bunch of rubble, but there wasn't too many ruined buildings in there. That was more just a ashy waste battlefield. And then of course there's Asgard, there's the station. You know, there's so many different planets, which is cool in MCP. And then if you go into the comics, I guess MCU, the MCU in the movies shows a number of cool planets and things like that to use for ideas of battle mats or, you know, scenery. But if you go into the comics, I mean, the comics are infinite in the options. Ooh.